Digital 410 Productions proudly presents the Waterman and D-Train Show.
Yeah.
Digitized live from the ACT Computer Studios in Cape Coral, Florida, it's the Waterman and D-Train Show.
Digitized live, as she just said, from Mac Computer Studio. You know, I'm so used to saying that. I've been saying that for like 53 episodes, and now we have someone else saying that I don't have an opener. I don't know what to say. I feel like I'm alone out here because, well, I don't know, maybe because Dave's not here. I don't know, Dave is not here.
Who is it?
But Gordon's here live from Las Vegas,
Who?
Nevada. Hey, Gordon, how are you doing tonight?
Dave?
I'm good, and I actually heard all of the
Dave's
music.
not here.
It's the magical mystery wonder of the internet and the apps. We sat here for, I don't know, 15 minutes
Who is
prior
it?
to going live, and you couldn't hear any background music. But you know what? People are tired of hearing about our woes and our problems. And they're probably tired of hearing me eating on the microphone, but I got to tell you, it's been a crazy productive day. I've ran the hell out of my feet, and I've lost my ass tonight. I'm going to do a little comment contest. We never do that. You know, let's show a little love to our YouTube friends. Our YouTube channel's blowing up. Follow us on YouTube at Digital410. I'm going to do a little contest. This isn't going to be hard to find. You can just find it because I tend to post this in certain places. And, well, if you track it down, how many miles did I run today? Put it in the comments later, and I will check it out tomorrow or maybe later on this week. And if you get the correct number, I will send you a Waterman D-Train Show sticker for your car and a Digital 410 sticker. Now, I have to say they are black. It makes a little no sense that I had black ones made up to put on tinted windows, but I did because my truck's all blacked out, and well, because I did it for me. Did you get your stickers, Gordon?
Yes, I did. I'd like to thank you for the stickers. I took a couple down to the strip and unfortunately did not get a place to really throw them down because it was a little bougie area, and I didn't want to get thrown out.
Well, some of them I hope you stick on some of your shit.
Oh, yeah, my shit's decorated for sure.
Okay. We can't ignore it. We can't pretend it hasn't happened. It's hurricane season. Hurricane season sucks, ladies and gentlemen. It sucks so bad. You know what? For those of you who have never lived in a hurricane zone, here's what it's like to live in Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, wherever. If you're in the line of this fucking hurricane, I'm sorry for you. I'm so grateful that this thing is turning north. I only hope and pray that it continues to go and doesn't touch anybody, but sadly, that's not going to be the case. Already, the Bahamas have already gotten the shit beaten out of them. But if you live in a hurricane zone, here's what life is like. The anxiety. You're not completely freaked out if you live through 6 hurricanes like I have. But imagine this. Okay, Gordon, imagine this. Ready? Let's do a little role playing.
All right, role play.
We're at the office, right?
Okay.
And I'm that guy that kind of makes stupid jokes all the time and makes little hints. I'm a little weird, you know, I make off-the-hand comments to the ladies that might be offensive. And, you know, HR's looked at me a few times, right?
Okay, so you're on the verge of being Me Too'd, right?
Yeah, so we're walking down the hallway, right?
All right.
And I walk up to you, and over your shoulder, I just say, hey, man, sometime next week, maybe around Tuesday, you may or may not get punched in the mouth. And I just walk away. And you're like, shit,
Dude,
I don't want to
mean.
get punched in the mouth.
What do you mean?
Sometime, maybe. It might happen. There's a 40% chance that maybe sometime around Tuesday at 2 a.m., there's no way a goddamn thing you can do about it. You're going to be minding your own business, and you're just going to get punched in the mouth. But it may not happen.
So you're saying that I'm going to get cold cocked, and I'm not going to know when, but
It's
there is a
possible.
time
I'll
frame.
tell you what I will do. I will put a group of people on TV to talk about it. Maybe they'll put GPS locations of the assaulter, the guy who's going to jack you in your jaw. You can't do nothing about it.
And I could possibly track this on my smartphone?
You could.
Hmm.
Now,
Okay.
here's the thing. My station has a long history of telling people that they may or may not get their shit punched in on a certain date. And so what I'm going to do is when you're watching this show to get these little hints about where the guy who's going to punch you in the mouth is at, and you're concerned, and you know what? Now he's really angry. He's not just going to punch you in the mouth, but he's going to key your car too, right?
So you saying I need to stock up on medical emergency supplies?
I'm saying you need to look at your shoulder. You need to prepare yourself, whatever you need to do. I don't know if you need to a schedule with a dentist to get your teeth fixed. I don't know if you need to put a car cover on to keep your car from getting keyed super bad. But this guy's pissed. He's going to jack you in the jaw. and he's going to cause some property damage. Could. Now, you could be completely all right, but maybe you'll get a broken nose, a crushed orbital socket, and miss a few teeth. Not sure yet, right?
Does this person that made cold cock me have a name?
Yeah, his name's Dorian. He's named
Dorian?
after the world's smelliest fruit, the durian fruit. You ever seen that guy eat it on Andrew Zimmer? He used to eat the durian fruit. The thing smells so bad that you're not allowed to open it in hotels in like fucking Bangkok or something. But anyhow, this guy may jack your jaw or may not.
Okay.
And so when you're sitting at home and the anxiety, now your wife's worried because she don't want you to get jacked in the jaw in, and words come down, he may punch her in the mouth too. And so you're watching TV and you're trying to figure out where this guy's at. But the people who are telling you this information, they want to scare the shit out of you more. And so what they do is they start showing videos of other people who got punched in the mouth the previous year. And all the damage that punch in the mouth did.
This reminds me of a guy named James.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Who's James?
His name could have been Dorian too, but he was a skater in Columbus, and he would run around cold cock people. Random.
And it's so crazy that, like, seriously, we were watching the Weather Channel the other night, right? And they're talking about how this is like one of the biggest hurricanes, and it's going to fuck up the Bahamas, and it's going to probably do a lot of damage on the east coast of Florida, which is horrible.
So the hype is there.
And so while you're laying in bed, right, and this is on in the background, and you're thinking, shit, man, because at this point we didn't know if it's coming towards us or not. We were still in the cone at this point. And so you have the Weather Channel on, right? And by the way, they have a group of people on there they call the Weather Underground. So they have a segment on their show that's named after a 1960s terrorist group. That's fun. But anyhow, you're laying in bed and you hear the Weather Underground talking.
I got an idea. We gotta call it the Weather Underground.
Yeah, that's hip. That's cool. And then we'll draw a set like we're in a basement, like we're in some shelter somewhere. But anyhow, so these assholes, right, they're talking about how this thing's going to come, kick you in the ass, punch you in the mouth, cause all this damage. And they literally started showing features they did, like segments they did on victims of the Hurricane Matthew last year up in the Panhandle. So it's like, not only are you concerned that your house might get fucked up, you could possibly lose your roof, let's reinforce your fears by showing you well-produced segments of people who got fucked up last year. Because we want to get those ratings in those commercials. It's like, come on.
Ties into the whole victim narrative, right?
Let me apologize right now. I got a buffet of protein in front of me. I've been running like crazy. I finally signed up for my Savage Race.
Okay.
Sorry for those watching on video. That was fucking disgusting. I got way too much stuff in my mouth. So anyhow, I ran my ass off today. Like I said, if you guess how many miles I ran today, I'll send you a sticker. But I haven't eaten anything, so I got beef jerky in front of me, trail mix, and a protein pack. I'm feeding my face, and I greatly apologize. So Dave's not here because he has a thing in Vegas sometime this week, and he sent me a text saying they're not sure if they may have to catch an earlier flight and bug out because of the storm. And so he's holed up with a friend, waiting to see if he can fly out to meet you.
Yeah, and it will be better if you can meet me tomorrow because it's all hell's gonna break loose when I go back to work on Tuesday. So we'll see.
Why? What's going on at work?
Oh, I'm just gonna be behind. I've taken a few days off, so we'll see. You know, the machine never stops where I'm at.
Yeah.
But it'll be fun. We'll try to do something.
So this week has sucked. There's people who were hoarding gas when they thought the storm was coming our way. It turns out it's not. So now we're no longer in the cone. We're going to get some 50-mile-an-hour winds and all that. But, you know, the stress of hoarding gas and getting food and putting up shelters and all that shit here, no one's really doing it except for the new guys. You can always tell the people on the local news who are new to Florida because they're the ones freaking out on the news, like buying cases of water, hoarding all the gas and all that shit because they don't know what to expect. If you've been down here a while, Hurricane Irma, 16 days, no power, no water. So the other day when there was a potential of this thing coming and hitting us on Tuesday, I went out and got some water and the dreaded Pop-Tart. If you live in a hurricane area and you've lived through some hurricanes, you do not like Pop-Tarts. Pop-Tarts trigger you. You don't want to eat them. And I have a box here, and I think I'm going to give that shit away because I don't want it. Because we lived off of so many Pop-Tarts during Hurricane Irma, because when you don't have power, it's not like you can cook. And, you know, so there's a lot of Pop-Tarts consumed during that time. So I haven't eaten a Pop-Tart since Hurricane Irma, and I got 2 boxes in there I'm going to give away. I don't want them. Pop-Tarts trigger me.
Now, when you're holed up and you're resorting to eating Pop-Tarts, is there a preferred flavor?
I used to be a blueberry and strawberry guy. If I was feeling a little crazy and sexy, I might eat one of those cinnamon s'mores one. Or the brown sugar cinnamon, that one. That one was good too, but dude, I can't touch them now. Literally. Pop Tarts, when I look at that, it literally triggers me to luckily I was at the radio station at the time, so I was able to get some AC for 4 hours, but poor Carrie was sitting in the house with the animals. This place is fucking 89 degrees, and that was after like 7 days into the storm. One of the listeners was nice enough to give me a generator.
Mm-hmm.
And it was strong enough to provide lights, but it wasn't strong enough to run our air conditioner. And so I grabbed the old swamp cooler out of Dad's garage, and I set it up in the living room, and I basically put the vent out the slider, and I put a 2x4 there, basically built a wall, so that the hot air would exhaust outside, and it brought our house down to a cool 89 degrees.
Well, I was wondering, because you've said swamp cooler, and I only really imagined that the swamp cooler only works in the southwest United States because it's so dry.
Well, I mean, it's a freestanding air conditioner with that has a vent, like a vacuum cleaner, a dryer hose that you run out the door, so all the hot air goes out there, and cool thing about it, if you're looking for water to flush your toilet, this thing sucks the humidity out of the air and it actually fills up buckets of water. And
so the condensation is just a massive.
Yeah, and so it not only does it cool your house down to a cool 89 degrees, it actually generates water in which you can store and use to flush your toilets. So that's always a bonus.
Yeah.
And everybody, and people are trying to be cool. They're like, hey, come to my house, take a shower. And it's like, no. And they're like, well, why not? I offered Don to take a shower, and he said no. Look, I appreciate it, but it's so goddamn hot. In order for me to take a shower, I got to come to your house. Now I'm concerned about interfering with your life, right? Mm-hmm. And so I don't want to come over late. And so if I come over at 7 o'clock, I take a shower, go back to my house, 20 minutes into it, I'm just soaking fucking, I'm sweating again. It's like I never had the shower. And so it's like, why put you out? And so what we ended up doing is just, I had a gallon jug of water, we poked holes in it, and we would literally stand in the shower and take cold milk jug baths in the middle of the night. Did that for 16 days. I slept in front of, before I had the AC and the generator. For those 7 days, I actually slept on my World War II Army cot in front of my open slider because we took the fence down because we didn't want to lose it. And so I literally had no protection. And I'm sleeping with literally my back door is wide open. And so I literally just slept on my Army cot in front of the open slider with my Glock right next to me.
Oh, yeah, because you definitely got to worry about
looters.
People who take advantage of these kind of situations.
Yeah, and now I don't no longer had the 6-foot privacy fence around my backyard, and I'm sleeping with 2 slider doors wide open. And I am living in a neighborhood that someone did get shot in, so it wasn't, it wouldn't have been a stretch for someone to come looking for shit. And so the family were sleeping in their room, and I basically slept next to the open entry into my home with fucking firearm. But that's hurricane life, ladies and gentlemen, and I feel so bad for the Bahamas, and I feel bad for the people on the East Coast. I'll probably, if we get the high winds, because where I'm at in Cape Coral, I lose power on one of the daily summer regular storms. I'll come home from work and all my clocks are fucking reset because the power goes out so easily. And so even if we don't get a lot of the bands, it's not a far-fetched to think that I could possibly lose power for an hour or two or longer. Just because the power grid in my area is so fucking weak.
So just a stiff breeze and it's out, huh?
Yeah, that's why I have UPSs on everything in this house. Here's a little hint for you, ladies and gentlemen. This is an At Computers Tech tip for you today, Sunday. Your new cable modems are not what they used to be. They are actually small computers. They do so much now. They have so many features built into them that when you reboot them, it takes 15 minutes to get your goddamn internet back. And if you live in a high lightning area, yes, they're a little expensive. They're like $60. Get on Batteries Plus, you can get them there. And get yourself a UPS. Put one on your TV in your main living room. Put your cable box on it, and then also make sure you have your internet modem plugged into one. And any expensive tech item you have, especially if you live in a lightning-prone area. I can't tell you over the last 14 years how many houses I've done, how many insurance quotes that I've had to go get serial numbers and verify as a technical professional that said items were in fact dead so that the insurance could write a check to replace them. And so protect all your items, put them on UPSs. They're a little, like I said, it's a bit of an investment. Buy 1 or 2 at a time, hook up your most important stuff, but that will definitely save your TV. And it's just not only that. Down here in Florida, people are complaining like there's a storm or there's an outage during like the last episode of Game of Thrones. Well, if you have your shit on UPS, when the power flickers, it stays on. You don't have to go through that 15-minute wait to get back online and to get back into the TV world. Oh boy, ladies and gentlemen, I am fucking beat, but I want to bring you a show because, well, here at the Waterman and D-Train show, we are consistently inconsistent, and I'm trying to change that. We're trying to get more professional around here. Hey, I am fucking rambling on because I'm exhausted. I've been running like a freak. I've actually lost, yes, Bonnie Buzzkill. I know, it's water weight. It's going to come back. But you know what? I'm going to fucking own it right now. I've lost 7 pounds in the last 4 days because I've been walking and running so much. And I'm just exhausted. But hey, give me a call. Let me know. Let's hear your hurricane prep stories. If you had to deal with some crazy people, how happy you are you're not having to go through the storm. Give me a call, 239-256-5537. Talk to me. I'm alone here. I'm just here with Gordon and a lot of protein. And to be quite honest with you, I'm just rambling on. I don't know what to talk about, but you know what? Fuck it. Let's do a show. And send us an email, info@d-410.com. Let me know what's on your mind. If you have complaints, criticisms, ideals, you want to contribute to the show, give us an email at info@d-410.com. And while we're in the plug zone, let's just get the plugs out of the way. For those of you who don't know, you can find the Waterman and D-Train show, as well as all the rest of our podcast on any of the podcast apps, you know, your iTunes, your Stitcher, your Spotify, all of that stuff. Or you can simply go to d-410.com. That is our original and our official home. And while you're there, you know the deal. That's where you can find all the links, the Amazon links, the Sleeves links, T-shirts, all that stuff. You know what to do. Go there, sign up for Patreon, support our show, help us get some better content than what I'm bringing you tonight. But give me credit, you know, after all the shit we do, I'm still on this live. Dave is leaving the state. He's going to go see Gordon. And, yeah, I am exhausted. Before the show,
you know what I was thinking?
Yes?
I don't think I could, you know, pull him away from his houseboy duties long enough.
Yeah, he does. He does some.
I would like to be able to take him. I was wondering what it'd be like if we could take him down and drop him off at Skid Row overnight. Would he still be around the next day? Would he have any money?
No.
Or would he go to jail?
I don't know what he would do. That's a good idea for a bit, but logistically,
yeah, it'd be a nightmare.
Well, it's and let's be honest, to get him to do something like that, it's like trying to get a chicken or a race. I mean, the guy's just all over the goddamn place.
I thought it would be funny, though, you know?
Oh, it would definitely be funny, but it would be a goddamn logistical nightmare to get that done.
I have something for you.
Okay. Please help me out. I'm floundering here. People are tuning out. They say, God, this is the worst podcast ever. This guy's half in the bag. He's all hopped up on fucking gabapentin because, well, his legs are hurting. And he's got a runner's high, and he's rambling on. So help me out. So,
signs that you live in Cape Coral, Florida.
Okay, hit me.
Carl, I want to see if these are correct. Number 1.
Yes.
You sit on lawn chairs in your driveway with the garage door up rather than your lanai or back patio. And because of this, you had just met your neighbor of 7 years.
Yeah. Once again, during Hurricane Irma, that's when I met most of my neighbors. Because obviously when you have no power and you're concerned about people breaking in your house and stealing shit, you look out for your neighbors. But it's funny you say the thing about the driveway guy. There's one in Dad's neighborhood. His neighbor on the left. I've seen this guy use gasoline as a weed prevention on his driveway. I've seen him after he weed eats. He literally goes out there to the gaps where the plants are growing. And the motherfucker's dumping gas on his driveway to kill the plants. It's like, okay, well, we're on well water, so that's just going to seep into your water. But, yeah, Dad's got that guy in his neighborhood. There's 1 and 2 in mine. Actually, you know what's funny? I haven't talked to them, and I assume they're family members because I don't know why 2 residents of duplex would put this much money into a duplex. But right outside my neighborhood, there's a duplex, right? And they have the half-an-ass front yard, that little gap in between the 2 front doors.
Yeah.
They built a patio.
Do what?
They built a wooden deck, like an Ohio-style wooden fucking plank deck. And basically now they don't have to mow the lawn because that whole, think of it as shaped like a stop sign in between the windows and the front doors between the 2 units on the duplex. So the driveway's far right, driveway far left, right? You got a square, right? You're looking at this duplex. Driveway, garage on the left, driveway, garage on the right. Windows, door, windows, common wall, right?
So they built a roofless gazebo there?
Yes, they built a roofless gazebo, like almost like a dance platform, and shaped like an octagon in between those two areas. And they just sit out there and play cards. They have a table set up, like 4 chairs, like fountains and shit, and they just sit out there and hang out all night long.
Woo!
Yeah.
Sounds fun. All right, that is excellent.
What's-
So next sign that you live in Cape Coral, Florida, is you consider the beach too far away.
Yeah, absolutely. Last time I've been to the beach, last 2 times, is when I was doing work down at Lovers Key Flippers, and it's funny. I posted this really sweet photo on Instagram of my truck down at Sanibel, because Sanibel, they have the causeway and you can actually pull your vehicle on the sand into the water. And
Oh, that's cool.
So it's cloudy as shit out there, and I took a picture of my Tacoma and I ran it through Photo Express and posted online. It looked really good, but I haven't actually had a foot or toe in the water in probably a year. I haven't been down there. It's one thing I try to remind myself all the time, is that I have access on a daily basis when I'm driving over the rivers or I'm heading around town, that people save up their bonuses, their tax returns, their anything. They sell shit and they save up money for like a year or two so they can bring their family down here to something I see every day. And they go down the beach and they spend money in hotels and the t-shirt shops and the restaurants, and they have a gym goddamn dandy fucking time, but I can't bring myself to go down there on a Saturday for a few hours. And
Okay.
because I don't want to pay $7 for parking. It's like, dude, people down here are like spending $200 to $300 a day between their hotel stay, their food, their entertainment, and they're enjoying life. And I can't bring my family down there on a weekend because it's just you ignore it. I mean, you live in Vegas, when's the last time you've been to the Strip?
This last weekend, but it was for our 10-year anniversary.
Thanks for shitting on my point. No, seriously, that's cool. So it's your 10th year anniversary. Congratulations on that.
That's a big milestone.
Congratulations on causing me grief.
I knew it was going to happen. I was like, oh,
We've been together longer than your brother and his wife, but they've been married for 10 years, and we ain't married. We don't have an anniversary. We have an anniversary. When is it? I don't know. Find a picture of the day we got together. It's like 13 years ago. Right-click on it, go to property, see when it says photo created. That is our anniversary date. Yeah, but Gordon and his wife, they just met 3 years after we met, and they're already married. Thanks, Dick. That's what I have to listen to.
So do I need to start really considering what I post?
No.
What kind of thing is this going to be?
I take responsibility for my life. I'm in a long-term relationship. Yes, we should be married by now, but I'm a fucking asshole, and we're not. But we'll deal with that as time goes by. But yeah, I get that all the time. Well, they're together, and we've been together longer, but they're married. Everybody's getting. Yeah, I know. I'm an asshole. I'm sorry. But anyhow, congratulations on your 10 years. For those of people in a new marriage or new long-term relationship, how do you get to 10 years, man? I mean, let's be honest. We're in a society where 60%, I think, the stat is on people who are married getting divorced. How do you go 10 years?
My big thing is it's a partnership, and it's about, and yes, there's definitely some involved. It's also about just, you got to give a lot of yourself to that person, and try to split things up 50-50. What's really good with our relationship is our strengths offset our weaknesses, right?
Yeah, because she's strange. You were a fucking hot mess before that woman came along. You couldn't finance a fucking potato chip at an Irish fucking bar.
Yeah. Well, on my way to leveling out, and then I met a shit show that brought me here. And thank God I cut that loose.
The shit show. For you young cats out there, you meet that chick, you think she's the fucking bee's knees, but she's cuckoo. That cuckoo goes a long way.
Yeah, well, they're all cuckoo. Which one is the one you want to settle with?
That's kind of like our later version of almost like a bat mitzvah. Us Gentiles, we have 2 versions of when you become a man. One is the first time you get your junk caught in your zipper. We've all been there.
Yes, we have.
If you're lucky, it's the beans and not the frank. But when that first happens, congratulations, you're a boy. The other weird thing is, you have a young cat, right? You have a young nephew?
Yes, got 2 nephews out here.
How old are they?
Nico is just turned 17, and then Andrew is going on 5.
But you knew Nico when he was like going through his 13, 14-year-old phase, right? Because clearly you guys been together 10 years.
Yes.
Back when I was married, my ex, I guess he would be my brother-in-law. I was 20 at the time, and I think he was 12 or 13. And I kind of had an epiphany then, and I wonder if it's the same now. It may not be because these bands are a lot older now. They're like 20 years older than they were back then. And I know you went through this. The Gentile version of getting to that segment in life when you start to do things that young dudes before you have done. Let me know if you agree with these. One, your possession of your first blacklight.
I've never had a black light.
Two, a poster of a band of some sort.
Yep.
Three, you discover the Doors, and you think you're the only one who's ever known who the Doors were. Or you discover Pink Floyd or Led Zeppelin. It seems like every young Caucasian dude, at least that I knew, they all had their Pink Floyd, their Led Zeppelin, their Black Poster, and Lava Lamp phase. And I don't know, because I remember my ex-brother-in-law, he came, he's like, hey man, do you know who the Doors are? And I'm like, yeah, everybody does. But it's just, I had this epiphany, like, oh yeah, I went through the same thing. I remember my Blacklight, Lava Lamp, Doors. Where do you fall in the Pink Floyd Led Zeppelin debate? I'm a Pink Floyd over Led Zeppelin any day. I would rather listen to anything off the wall over anything Led Zeppelin's ever put out at any time.
I am pretty much the same way, although there are some times that I do like to listen to some Zeppelin, or did back then, but it was definitely Pink Floyd.
Yeah. I don't know. Led Zeppelin, and this kind of gets me in trouble with like the Rock Cats. Led Zeppelin, the way they sing, I don't know if it's because we grew up in the 80s and we were at the height of glam to the point that it became kind of easy to lampoon. You see a lot of like Saturday Night Live bits making fun of, like the hairband people. And that was right around the time where every skateboarder on TV had to sound like Spicoli, to the point where it was like offensive. Like as a young 13-year-old boy, I would get like annoyed at the pop culture representation of a surfer or a skater. And it kind of, you would see these little commercials, like, I don't know, whether it's Fruit by the Foot or whatever, and they'd have like the guy in the spandex and the doing all that shit, and I hated it. I hated how
the high pitched singing.
Exactly, and that's what I'm getting to. The Led Zeppelin high pitched singing, I can't get into. This is gonna piss off a lot of people, but I've said it and I've stood by it. That's why I never got into Soundgarden. I was never a Soundgarden fan because I did not like his vocals. It reminded me too much of that. And I know it wasn't, but it was right borderlining on there. And so when it came down to whether it was Pearl Jam or Soundgarden, I clearly went with Pearl Jam. But that whole style of music just does not do it for me. And I know Dave's huge on that.
Well, and that's one of the things that, like Pantera, when they changed from that higher pitched singing to more of the growl, that's when I gravitated a little more to them.
Yeah, like when Cowboys from Hell came out.
Exactly.
Everything changed, and they got that. Dimebag would use that effects pedal and it just gave that wah 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 sound, and everything completely changed. But yeah, I just can't get into the whole glam,
And I tell you what, the one band that it did not affect me on though was Iron Maiden. Yes, Bruce Dickinson had the high pitched, but it was still Iron Maiden. It was just something
you're fucking You're exactly right. I never thought about that. There's just something about Iron Maiden and the way they did it, because my first album, here's a fun game for you guys to play at home. Kids nowadays, they won't understand this. Generation Z, well, the first song I ever downloaded was, I don't know. What was the first album? And I think Dave and I have talked about this in the past, but you know what? We're having fun. Fuck it, we'll talk about it again. What was the first album that you purchased with your own money, and how old were you? Now, I remember the first album I ever got as a present. My lovely stepmother got me Metallica's Master of Puppets for Easter. That's a fucking awesome Easter present, isn't it?
That is yeah, that is awesome.
But the first album I bought is when you were in Civil Air Patrol and we had access to what is now the defunct Rickenbacker Air Force Base. But back then it was the less than defunct Rickenbacker Air Force Base. We had the luxury of playing in Sherman tanks at a young age because Gordon was in Civil Air Patrol and he had a pass to get us on the base.
That was actually pretty cool. I don't care how nerdy it was. That was a cool deal. We, got to get on base, play in that Sherman tank, go to the PX and buy some stuff from there that was absolutely tax-free. And then
let's not forget, we used to go to the fucking barber and get our hair cut We went like once or twice. I remember he had like Playboy sitting on the table and shit. And it was like we're at a goddamn Air Force base where like generals and shit are getting their haircuts, and the guy's cutting our hair.
Yeah, I'd bet you don't see that much anymore. You
I
know,
remember a lot of wood grain. God, I wish that place was still around. Because
and
now that I'm a World War II guy, I bet that most of that shit was built in the 40s. I remember we used to run around in the hospital that was abandoned.
well, do you know what that used to be called in the 40s?
No, I do not.
Lockbourne Air Force Base.
I have to look that up and do some research on it. But anyhow, back we digress. So when I got my first birthday money, I remember I went to the base. And I don't know how I got on because maybe you're with me and you don't remember, but we were at the PX and I bought Iron Maiden's "Only the Good Die Young." That was the first tape I ever bought.
Mine was, I believe, a nuclear assault album.
Yeah, you're into nuclear assault heavily back then. I remember you also had Suicidal Tendencies join the army on vinyl.
Yes, I did. And then, God, I remember seeing Suicidal Tendencies with Infectious Grooves, which is basically two bands worth of
I was gonna
Mike.
say he double billed himself. God damn, that's a long set.
Yeah, he did
Could you
double
imagine
bill
that?
himself. That's some
You're
that's some
singing
ego
for the
there.
opening band and then you're singing for the headlining band.
Yeah, exactly. It's Mike Muir. They just should have called it Muir Night. It was crazy. It was a great show, but man, that was a rough pit. Um,
Cindy Carter from the Facebook live feed. She said Kiss. Now, Cindy, here's a little fun trivia for you. We've had Brad Williams, lead singer of Snowblind, on the show a few times. He was my old roommate. Gordon lived in his basement as well. This cat was the world's largest Kiss fan. I mean, he has Ace Frehley tattooed on his fucking pec, right? His whole house is decorated in Kiss stuff. And I remember back in the 90s when they had announced that they were done, one of the 338th time they did it. But they announced they were coming back, and Brad said, hey, I'm the biggest Kiss fan. I'm going to go see them play wherever they start their tour. And, of course, he was thinking either Detroit, New York, or Chicago. But they announced they were going to kick off their tour at Dodger Stadium in California on Halloween night. And Brad decided, well, I got to stand by my word as being the world's biggest Kiss fan. So he bought 2 tickets and was planning on driving to California with my guitarist at the time, Ryan. But his mom didn't want him to make that trip. Because keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, this was before smartphones. Yeah, we had cell phones, but they were phones and they had roaming fees and they were very expensive to use. So the phone we had, we couldn't use because we were in roaming areas. Once you get out of the town where you live, they would like triple the fucking cost of your calls. But we had it for protection. And so Ryan's mom didn't want him to go, and so she went out and co-signed on a 1996 brand new Acura Integra, which is a badass car at the time. When those Acuras came out in the 90s, they were like the shit. Everybody was like, ooh, I want an Acura. So now he had a new car that he had to make payments for, so clearly he couldn't miss work, and so now Brad's by himself. And he was the manager of Sun TV at the time, and I told him, hey, get me a job at Sun TV. I will quit my shitty-ass job fertilizing lawns. Yes, I used to fertilize lawns, and that shit sucked. So anyhow, he got me a gig over at Sun TV. I quit working at Legion Lawn. We hopped in his like goddamn 1991 Cougar. He was a huge Cougar fan. The guy had like 4 Cougars. Is that a Mercury?
yes, it is.
So he had a Cougar. We hopped in the Cougar. We drove, and we talked about this before, but no GPS. We had a Ram McNally fucking map, a goddamn buck knife, a carton of cigarettes, and the open road. And we fucking drove to California. We basically slept in rest stops in the car. We did splurge when we got out by the Grand Canyon. We did stay at a place overnight. It was cool. Out in the middle of nowhere. Anyhow, we went, saw the band. It was a great show. Sadly, the day I knew I was old was the day I saw on VH1 Classics the 1999 Kiss concert live from Dodger Stadium. Opening with them is the band Smashing Pumpkins. So the concert that we drove across country to is now being played on VH1 Classics, and that's when I knew I was officially old. And so we watched the show, stayed the night, hopped in the car, drove back, and got a phone call when we got back to Tennessee and could make phone calls. Actually, no, we called from my mom's house in Kentucky. Congratulations, Don, your new job. Sun TV just went out of business, so when you get back, you're going to liquidate this place, close it down, and find a new job. So that worked out well.
Yeah, it did. Hey,
Yeah.
speaking of which, you know that you're from Cape Coral, Florida,
Uh-huh.
and waterfront property could mean a stagnant canal that goes nowhere.
Absolutely. Last year when we had the red tide issue, a lot of those canals, ironically, it's red tide, but they would turn green. It would look like somebody poured antifreeze in them. And yes, they would just get stagnant and green, and because they're basically just they're canals that were dug to drain the swamp, and so yeah, you may live on waterfront property, but you got like a 5 mile no wake travel time to get out to the river, so you're burning tons of gas just to get out on the open river to go get more gas.
Cool.
What else you got on your Cape Coral list?
You've taken visiting friends and relatives to either Miramar Outlets and Coconut Point.
Absolutely. It depends.
I think I've on there.
Yes, you have been there. Coconut Point is over by the hockey state. This now it used to be the Germain Marina, but now it's the Hertz Arena. Hertz Rental Car is now sponsoring it. Yeah, depending on if you want to go shopping and then go to Sanibel, or if you want to go shopping and go out and do some fine dining, you would either go to Gulf Coast or Miramar. Miramar is right by Sanibel, so you can hit that up, get you a brand new Coach purse. It's more of an old lady place. There's like no Nike or Adidas in there. It's more like Coach and old lady stuff. And so you can go there and then head over to Sanibel. But if you're looking like for fucking young kid stuff, you'd want to go to Gulf Coast.
So evidently the city of Cape Coral, I should say, really loves burrowing owls.
Burrow owl.
That there's an annual burrowing owl festival at Rotary Park to celebrate this feathered creature.
And I looked at him. I said, "What you looking at the tree for?" He said, "I'm looking for my burrow owl." I said, "Jumping Jesus on a pogo stick. Everybody knows that a burrow owl lives on a hole in the ground. Why do you think they call them burrow owls anyhow? Technically, people, it's burrowing owls, but that's too much to say, so we just say burrow owls."
Exactly. And here's one that I wouldn't know.
Hold on, before you move past the burrow owl thing.
Yes.
They're cute little fuckers. How it works is they burrow in the ground. And so if you have open lots and you see some burrow owls burrowing in the ground, you go over there and you plant 4 or 5 stakes around their hole, and that means you can't touch that area. It is now protected. So it's an open lot, and you're paying somebody to mow that grass. They got to mow around that area.
So any citizen can grab a couple of stakes
Yes.
or 4 stakes and stake off the burrowing
owls.
whatever.
These little bastards, they know they're protected. They know you can't do shit to them. And so I'll be running through my neighborhood, and there'll be one sitting in the street, and he's just looking at me, and I'm running at him. He's looking at me. I'm running at him. He's looking at me. And maybe he'll move. Maybe he won't. Maybe he'll look at you and say, "Fuck off, dude. You can't touch me. I'm protected." They have attitudes. And then they'll fly up on the mailbox and look at you and like kind of flex his wings at you like, "Come on, bring it." They're hilarious, dude. I remember one time I started dating this girl back when I first moved down here. She lived way out deep in North Fort Myers out in Slater. And she had 4-wheelers, and we went out, and we were zipping through the woods, and one of them, she like triggered its fucking radar or whatever, and it just shot out of the tree like it was trying to attack, and just like bounced off her shoulder. The thing like kamikaze her. It was insane. She got hit by a burrowing owl while traveling at high speed on a 4-wheeler during the night. It was insane.
That sounds insane. But speaking of this bird, evidently the city has the largest population of burrowing owls in Florida. With about 1,000 nesting pairs.
Yep, there's one living out in my neighbor's out in the lot across the street, and I'll see him out, playing around in the street and just making all kinds of racket. There are people I know. I think it kind of died down, but I know like 5 years ago when the whole live feed thing really blew up, because we had the guy down in North Fort Myers who put cameras on his bald eagles, and he gets advertisement. Dude's making a fucking fortune. He's made so much money off the eagle cameras that at the end of his long private driveway, he has about 3-foot tall concrete fucking eagles, which are gaudy as hell. And he has a billboard advertising the fact that the cameras and the eagles live there, because he gets so many views on those cameras that he's making money out the ass on the advertisement. And people I know they used to set up live stream on burrowing owls because they're so crazy. They almost look like, and I think they're making a remake of this movie. Remember the Gremlins?
Yes.
No, I'm sorry, not Gremlins. What's the little furballs? Kevin Bacon. Critters.
Okay, yeah.
Critters, they're remaking Critters. Burrow owls look like a cute critter before the critter opens its mouth and shows all its teeth. They're kind of cute. They had that
so you're expecting a burrow owl to open up its mouth and that same thing happens?
Well, because they're just little round balls. They don't have any shape to them. They're just little round balls, kind of like critters, and they just kind of walk around like F you, and they're just hilarious looking. But yeah, I did see an ad. I think they're bringing Critters back, which would be fun.
So this next one, I have no idea what it means, and it may tell if you're a true Cape Coral resident.
Uh-huh.
What the word spatterdock means?
I have no fucking idea. I can tell you what a Bokelia Reebok. I can tell you what a Pine Island Reebok is, but I can't tell you what whatever the hell you said is.
Spatterdock. Oh, one of the ways you know that you live in Cape Coral is you will hear German being spoken at the grocery store.
Das ist sehr gut, ja. Auf Wiedersehen. Yes, I have clients who are German. They're accountants. You can tell, and it's so funny. Adam Carolla had a German comedian on his show the other day, and
Yes,
he mentioned something that's just dead on because I see it down here. The Germans love their eyewear and their shoes. You can always tell a German. A lot of like, especially down here in Florida, they'll have like some sort of leather based, like flip flop style sandal shoe on, even in socks, and then they'll just have like some cargo shorts, some weird shirt, and then they'll have like some high end fucking high performance, well designed glass. And it's so funny because you can always tell a German by their clothes before they even say a word. And yes, you do hear it at grocery stores, everywhere. I know back in the early 2000s, the German equivalent of the Discovery Channel came down here to Cape Coral and shot a bunch of like tourist videos and shit. And so yes, we are very German centric. We do have the Oktoberfest at the. Okay, I don't want to offend anybody here, but can we all agree that the title of the German American Social Club is a little on the nose? Can we not associate the word social with Germans when we have a name of a building, please? Is that just me? Am I wrong on that?
No, I think you are right on target. It just
If you have a club or group and you're German, let's move the word social away. And now, for those of you who don't know, now I'm not saying Germans are like this. I have a lot of them. I love my Germans. I speak more German than I do Spanish, and I have a Hispanic daughter, but she don't speak Spanish either. I'm trying to get her to speak Spanish, but she just has no interest in that. But I completely forgot what I was going to say. Oh, yeah, the German American Social Club. Why should we not associate the word social with the German American Social Club? For those of you who don't know, Nazi means the National Socialist Party. So, social, let's just throw that away and just have, hi, it's the German American Club. Come drink beer and enjoy Oktoberfest, which is coming up, which is a great time. But I am rambling on. Don Anderson is watching. Hey, Don Anderson, welcome to the broadcast. As you can see, Dave is not here because he is on his way to Vegas, and they may have to bug out depending on the flights because of the storm. And yeah, so anywho.
Let's see. Got another one here.
Wow, this is a long fucking list, but I'm rambling on too.
I
apologize for those of you watching. I am fucking running on fumes, but I wanted to bring you content. I wanted to bring you a show, and I figured even if I am dead tired, we can bring you something that's hopefully funny. So, yeah, anywho, go ahead.
You know you live in Cape Coral because there are only 2 bridges into Fort Myers. So rush hour traffic can be a killer. And speaking of that, shortcuts. What shortcuts? All the canals, and there are no major highways, and it takes about 30 minutes to get to I-75.
Wrong. That person is reaching for content. Yes, there is technically two bridges in Cape Coral. But even if you live out on Cape Coral Parkway, Del Prado, Skyline, and you're going to Fort Myers during rush hour, there's absolutely no reason. I am a perpetual motion guy. I would rather drive a longer way and have constant movement that takes the same amount of time as the shorter distance but sitting in traffic. Know what I mean?
Yes.
So if my options are drive 10 miles out of the way and have perpetual motion, or sit in traffic for the same amount of time it takes to travel that 10 miles, I will travel that 10 miles. I always go down to Del Prado, to Hancock, take the Edison Bridge, because technically there are 5 bridges into Fort Myers. You just got to go through North Fort Myers to get to them. Take the Edison Bridge down to either 41 or McGregor, and then work your way over to Fort Myers, and avoid the Cape Coral and Midpoint Bridge altogether. So technically, no, there are 5 bridges to get into Fort Myers. You just have to go through North Fort Myers to get there. So that one's wrong. Go ahead.
And that was how I was going to wrap that one up.
Okay.
Was traffic. I know when I came out to visit, it seemed like it took fucking forever to get anywhere, though.
According to Cindy Gardner from the Facebook live feed, a spatter dock is like a lily pad. Is that correct? Because you never told us what it was.
I did not know what it was.
So you have a list of things you know you're from Cape Coral, but they don't tell you what the answers are?
No.
That's mighty creepy of them. I just lost the left channel on my headphones, so that's weird. But anyhow, we will continue. Rules to a better life. For those of you who follow my YouTube channel, you've seen the episode I did on not letting quitter socks ruin your life. Throw your quitter socks away, buy new socks, you're worth it. But anyhow, knowing how to do a regular daily maintenance type situation, such as knowing how to change your car tire, is of utmost importance for you young cats trying to make it in the world. And I will give you an example. One of the things we do at Ag Computers, whenever things are slow, we pick up what's called national accounts. There's a lot of these larger businesses who pay a larger IT firm in a different location to manage their equipment, and then when they need people on the ground, they call us. When we go out there, we put up the new keypads or do whatever. And my business partner was doing some work for some of these new weed distributors, these dispensaries. And he was doing a job that required multiple people. And so the company outsourced like to 3 people. So my business partner was going, and apparently I've never experienced this, but apparently they had a text chain going on their phones. And 2 of the guys said they couldn't make it. I can't remember what one of the guys' reasons are, but now keep in mind, these are guys who are getting paid to be installers. They're supposed to be good with drills, tools, or they're like maintenance handyman plus a computer technician all built in one. So if they need you to go out with a hole saw and drill a bunch of holes in cabinets and run wires, you know how, and you have power tools on you, and you're supposed to be kind of able to use a tool. So anyhow, one of the cats who got hired to go out with my business partner to do this job, he couldn't make it. He said it would take 2 hours because he's waiting on the roadside assistance from Honda to come change his tire.
You're fired.
I don't know how old this fellow was, but I will say once again, if you are getting hired, now I know people fake it till they make it, but look, if you're supposed to be good enough with everyday power tools to do a job that requires you to drill holes or to use a drill, and you can't change your own tire, and you're supposed to be getting paid like 70, 80 bucks an hour or whatever because you're supposed to be a professional, if you can't change your tire, that's embarrassing. If you have a license to your car, and I remember this. I remember I was dating this girl in high school named Tiffany, and she got her license, and her dad literally jacked up her Volkswagen Rabbit in the driveway and made her take off the tire, even though it was perfectly fine, put the spare tire on, lower the car down, raise it back up, rinse and repeat. And he actually taught her how to change her tire. And the fact that you have dudes out there, especially dudes who are hiring themselves out as a professional with tools who can't show up to a job because they don't know how to change their tire, dude, you're going to have a long, hard life. Because if you can't change your tire, there's a lot of shit you can't do.
Yeah, that's the 2 basic things you need to learn, and the parents need to teach you. Change your tire and change your oil.
Mm-hmm. Now, you will get to a point in your life where your time's worth more than the cost of an oil change, and you will happily pay people to do it. But you know, in a pinch, if you're broke or you got to get it done and you don't have time to go out, that you have the tools, you have the knowledge, and you have the know-how to change your oil. You got to change your oil. I don't even care if you're a chick, man. If you're a chick, do yourself a favor. Find your boyfriend. Maybe talk to your dad. If not, look at some YouTube videos. Learn how to do that shit. You want to impress your man? You can change your oil or change your tire. You know how to take care of yourself. You don't need him. That's sexy as shit, and it'll help you out in life. So, I don't care who you are. There's things you have to know how to do in life, or you're going to fucking fail.
Yeah, you absolutely will fail. And it's horrifying seeing how inept people are at the basic stuff like this today. We talk about some of the basic things you should know how to do. I even think something as simple as hanging a shelf. I've seen people who can't do it,
Because
I get
if you
calls.
can hang a shelf, you can mount a TV on the wall.
Yeah, it doesn't take much.
They make anchors now that hold up to 100 pounds per anchor.
As long as that sheetrock is good, you should be ready to rock and roll.
Yeah. Or if you want to get a little fancy, just cut a piece of plywood that's smaller than the diameter of your TV, especially if you're going to have it on an articulating arm where the TV comes out off the wall. Get a piece of plywood that's smaller so that you can't see it from the TV, and then paint it the same color as the wall. Blast that shit up there on the studs, drill it into the studs, paint it, and then just mount your TV bracket on that. And then you can even, if you have like a small cable box or smaller equipment, you can even strap it up there behind the TV so you can have a nice clear area underneath. And then obviously you can just run your power up. But there's so many little things that people, not only do they make your life easier, but there's a sense of satisfaction when you're done doing it. When you're done changing a tire, changing your oil, mounting a TV, you step back and say, hey, I did that. I didn't have to pay someone else to do it.
Or even something as simple as learning how to paint a wall.
Yeah.
We just did that. That was one of the things we've done. We painted a few accent walls in the house. Hey, carpet's coming out.
Yeah, I got a wall here that we're going to paint probably 4 shades darker gray because my whole house is gray. It matches my bird. But the wall in the kitchen, we're probably going to go either a darker blue or a darker shade of gray. And there is a art, no pun intended, to painting a wall so that the marks from painting don't show up when you're looking at it with the light on. You'll see the swish marks. You got to know how to paint it so that shit don't show up.
Now, do you all have smooth walls or textured walls down there?
Textured walls. You can tell somebody came through here one of those guns.
Yep.
And just splatter sprayed the wall. I will tell you, I like that, and here's why. Especially as somebody who has a job cutting holes in people's walls, it makes patch jobs that much easier. It's easier to blend it in because you don't have to sand the spackle all the way down to the wall. You can just blotch it in there and then sand it to match, and then paint. Obviously, if it's a big patch, it'll wink at you a little bit once you paint it. But if it's a small patch, it's so much easier to hide it, and you'll be the only one who notices it. Look at us talking home repair on the Waterman and D-Train show because, let's be honest, this is more of an episode of What's in Your Head, which was an old website Gordon and I used to have back in the early 2000s. Believe it or not, we've been doing this shit a long time in so many different formats. And you have a guy who can't spell and whose grammar sucks and he used to run an online magazine. That's comedy.
Yeah, it is comedy. Hey, I wanted to give a quick review.
Uh-huh.
So this is the second time I went to one of this very famous chef's establishments. And that's Gordon Ramsay's Pub and Grill. So
was it an open kitchen?
Last year we went to Hell's Kitchen. That was fantastic. So now we went to his Pub and Grill. And one thing I want to say, they definitely have their shit together in that organization. It's very consistent in the style of and how they got everything out, the servers, the professionalism, and the quality of the food. It is a little pricey as to be expected. I think between the two of us, we spent about $113. And we ended up splitting I didn't want to go with the beef Wellington again, which is, if you ever have a chance to go to a Gordon Ramsay place, get that. So this time we opted for the 24-ounce ribeye that we split. Cooked that sucker medium rare. Got a side of asparagus.
Can I have the one ribeye for two? It's the one for two. Can I get 2 plates, 1 ribeye, and an extra order of asparagus, please, over here? Thank you. Thank you very much.
That actually is very common. We noticed that the last time we went out, when we went to Hell's Kitchen, a lot of couples did that.
How big is the steak? How fat is it? Are you? Is it like two? Is it
about
2 knuckles?
Half-inch thick.
Is it like 2 knuckles? Like if you stuck a finger in it?
Close. So it was good, but so everything was on point. Had their his famous sticky toffee pudding. Awesome.
Let me pause real quick. I don't know if you listened to last week's episode, but I had a hypothesis, and now you can prove it. When you cast your eyes upon the cooks in the kitchen, did they have on rubber gloves or not?
I think they're required, unfortunately, in Clark County.
Really?
Yes, and I do absolutely agree with the whole rubber glove thing or latex glove. Problem is, it gives them a false sense of safety.
Exactly, because when you don't feel the shit on your hand, how do you know you're transferring it to the food?
Yeah, exactly. So without the gloves, you're just forced to wash your hands all the time. So they're like, well, people don't wash their hands all the time, so we're going to have to make them wear rubber gloves. Now they just cross-contaminate by touching everything in the world with those freaking gloves.
Yep.
And not changing them out often enough.
Nope. Because if, in fact, they did change them the amount of times in which they should, management would look at the margin of how much money they're spending on fucking rubber gloves, and they would lose their goddamn minds. But because of the fact that they don't change them as much as they should, I guarantee you, if you did a blind study, like where you documented 2 restaurants, and you set up a camera, the line chef or the sous chef and the guy who prepares the food, I bet if you had a kitchen where they had rubber gloves and a kitchen where they didn't, the one that didn't, they would probably wash their hands more frequently than the guys who had gloves on changed their gloves. I guarantee it.
Especially when you go from handling raw chicken to a vegetable.
Well, especially when you go from making someone's, food and you're using your hands, and then you pick up your phone and you're swiping, or you're pulling out the meat drawer, or picking up the knives, opening refrigerator doors, all that shit, and you still have the same gloves on.
You get schmutz everywhere.
And you can't feel the schmutz on the gloves unless it's a big glob. And so and like I was explaining last week, I think, for example, obviously in a high-end restaurant you wouldn't be handling buns, but like in your McDonald's or Wendy's, if they were using their raw hands, they would know when the bun's stale, and they'd just throw the whole goddamn pack away instead of serving that shit. But because they can't feel the texture of the bun, it all feels the same, so that you get more. I think the quality of the food has gone down since the mandate of the latex glove. I truly do. But anyhow, back to your story.
Anyway, so everything was great. It was the ambiance there was cool. The waiters, they're kind of dressed up like old school English pub style with the vest. It was kind of like almost like a flannelly vest, but it had some really cool zippers and shit. Not that I'm into style, but I just liked the presentation and how everything was. I mean, it was melt in your mouth ribeye.
Well, don't bury the lead. Do they hire someone to stand in as Gordon Ramsay and just yell, "You're an asshole" to all the chefs, or is it nice and quiet back here?
No, it's nice and quiet. They've got their high-paid executive chefs at every one of their establishments, and that's just one of the things. Everyone's like, "Man, it's so expensive." I'm like, well, number one, these are union people, so they're making some money all the way across the board.
And number two, you're worth it. I mean, this isn't something you do every day. But fuck, man, if you and your old lady, you got kids, you're working all the time, you're busting your ass, you're grinding, you're being a fucking contribution to the society and the community around you. Yeah, go out and drop $120 on dinner. You fucking deserve it.
Treat yourself. A treat.
Life is short. Why suffer through Taco Bell every goddamn day?
Ugh. Yeah, Taco Bell. I've been to Taco Bell recently, and I'm done with them. I go up there, I order my order. The drive-through line was all the way around, so you know how it is. Fuck that, I'm going to go inside. Nobody's inside.
You fell for the trap.
I go in. This lady handles both the drive-through and the front register.
And in case you don't know, ladies and gentlemen, drive-through gets priority.
She acted like I was, but she didn't want to be there. It was clear. No, I placed my order. My wife's got some things that she's got to stay away from. Just basically some food sensitivities, and I give her the order, and I said, hey, I want, this with just chicken, no tomatoes. It was a chalupa, I believe. Combo.
A chalupa, huh?
Chalupa, and then I want a chicken soft taco, no tomatoes, instead of the regular crunchy beef taco. Blah. Go. And then we get home, and everything's fucking wrong. And I had to repeat my order like 5 times. I was like, really?
She's in the weeds. And for those of you think we're being hard on fast food guys, Gordon and I are fast food guys. We have done our time. That's why we are such assholes when it comes to the quality of food, because we both worked at Wendy's. Gordon worked at McDonald's. I worked at Little Caesars. I worked at Pizza Hut. We've done it. We know it. We know it sucks, but you understand that it can be done, and you understand if with the proper management, the proper expediter, and you guys are working as a team, it actually feels good when you go through a rush, man. You bust that rush out and you get everybody's orders done, and you're like, yeah, dude, we fucking did it. But as we mentioned before, I think part of the problem is these young cats, their lack of social interaction. Not only can't they...
Just with a smile. That goes a long effing way. And by the way, the other one, while I'm ranting, when you're at the drive-thru, I want you to read that fucking order off to me. Don't just look at the screen.
And can I get a total, please? You're on a computer. Why do I got to drive up to the window to get the goddamn total? Not that it matters. I'm putting on a debit card anyhow, but please. And let me ask, can we set a standard here? If I come to your drive-thru and I order a sweet iced tea and you hear the word sweet, can we all agree that I want sugar in my tea? When I go to your drive-thru and I say, can I get a large sweet iced tea? You say, is that unsweet? Unsweet? You have an unsweet...
I'm drinking unsweet tea.
Do you have a reverse osmosis machine there in your store that you're cycling sweet tea in and having a system remove the sugar? So you have 2 choices. You have tea and you have sweet tea. You can't unsweeten something unless you have a reverse osmosis machine remove the sugar. So if you hear the word sweet, let's go ahead and just assume the person wants sugar in their tea. Otherwise, they would just ask for a tea.
Or how about a non-sweetened tea, just the middle of the road?
I've ordered tea. and you hear the word sweet, just assume I said sweet iced tea. Because more often than not, I get the unsweetened tea, which I will drink. I will suck it up, literally. But I said sweet. And I know Gordon's drinking unsweetened iced tea because he says he does have a reverse osmosis machine in his garage, which he cycles all his tea through. And not to mention his soda. It actually turns it. He takes regular soda, pours it through there, and it removes all the sugar and puts in stevia and turns it into Coke Life. Which sounds like a lot of work. I'm sure your electric bill's to the roof. I don't know why you just don't go out and buy Coke Life and regular tea. But if you want to go through this whole charade of running Coke and sweet tea through your machine to get your own shit, go ahead, rich guy.
Who's this rich guy?
Well, if you can afford a reverse osmosis machine in your garage to remove tea from sweet tea and to turn your Coke into Diet Coke, you got money to spend, fella. Own it.
Damn it.
Own it. Don't
He's
be
on
ashamed.
to me. He's on to me. Oh, my God. Yep. I sure do.
Are you ready for news and shit? Because this show is just going. We're just rambling. But we're having a good time. And so there are a few of you hanging out. And I want to give props to you guys on Facebook and YouTube. And let's not forget our friends over at Periscope Television. For those who don't know, long before Facebook live stream, long before Instagram live stream, you only had one game in town. And no, it wasn't Periscope. Periscope was the second one. You know what the very first one was, and it was only available on Android?
What was it?
Meerkat? I think it was called Meerkat. But it was only available on Android because they didn't. And then finally Periscope came out for Android and it took over.
So you sound like named after the cute little rodents named after cats that would pop up and down?
I go so far back into social media craze that I remember the first true social media pages, which you could say it was Yahoo GeoCities or AOL, but I'm going to say MSN Communities because it did tie in with your MSN Messenger. And it was a page that you could put photos on, kind of like a home page. You can put link to music and put your photos on, and it would have links to your friends on Messenger. And I remember before, obviously, Facebook didn't exist, MySpace didn't exist, we would just sit in Messenger, like Messenger chats on MSN Communities and these group chats, and we just, you know, that was the old school social media. So I go way back. That's actually where I learned how to build websites. And so when I moved to California and I got a job through my school when I was going to school for computers, and I got a job at Lunar Pages, and I was troubleshooting websites, I had an advantage because I had been doing that shit through MSN Communities for free for years. And that's actually how D-410 got started back in 2002, 2003. When I worked at Lunar Pages, they gave me a free account so that I could have a website so I knew how their system worked. And obviously it's not free now, but I've actually... D-410 and what'sinyourhead.com have been around since 2002, and now we have turned it into Digital 410, and that's where Digital 410 comes from, is based off of the D-410, which, going back to MSN Communities, was based off of my screen name, because long before Facebook, long before MySpace, we didn't trust people. We didn't trust the strangers on the internet. Gordon popped up in a bubble and says, "Hey, fella," you didn't trust them. You didn't give them your name. We all had screen names. It was like ham radios and CB radios. We had handles. And mine was Donovan410. And that's why if you go on Twitter and Instagram or MSN or Hotmail, you'll see Donovan410 or some sort of variant of it, DTrain410, what have you. And that all goes back to when we were paranoid, when the internet first started, and you didn't just hand out your information to people. You didn't tell them your real name. You didn't tell them your age, where the fuck you lived, because you just assumed everybody was out to get you. Now that hasn't changed. Everybody is still out to get you, but now we're just openly, here's all my shit. Here's the photo of my kids. Here's where I live. Here's the color of my car. Send me a link and I'll let you into my email, and then you can steal all my shit.
It's kind of like when people do those whole birthday things, right? If you were born on this day and this month, this is what you are.
I saw the greatest one the other day. It just said, for 2019, happy birthday to everybody. I'll get back to you in 2020. There's too many of you fucking people.
Yeah, no shit, right?
I heard an interesting stat. Because the young kids aren't into my Facebook anymore, they're into the Snapchat and Instagram and all that shit, there are now officially more dead people on Facebook than there are live people.
I have not heard that.
Meaning there's more people who have passed away, or it's like at 50-50. We're getting close to that transition. But because the Facebook rates are going down, young cats aren't into it because their parents are on there. It's old. It's not hip. And it's just a place for your parents and your grandparents. And so there are now, I believe, I heard on a show the other day, they said that we're either at 50% or like 55, 45, that there are more memorial accounts on Facebook than there are live people. How crazy is that? And I could tell you, I have like 6 or 7 on my friends list. People
Oh
that have
yeah, I've
passed
got a
away.
few too. It just makes you think that Facebook will just be called Memorial Book at one point in time.
Yeah, I don't know where we're all going to transfer over to continue to give out all of our personal information. Maybe YouTube. I don't know. But yeah, it's so crazy how easily and open we are with sharing all of our shit on Facebook. I mean, look, here I am, fucking sitting in my house, wearing a NASA shirt, drinking a beer, rambling on for 107 minutes and 54 seconds. So with that being said, I don't know if you're ready, but joining us live from the WD 410 news desk in Las Vegas, here he is, our anchorman, Gordon Abernathy. Gordon, how you doing tonight?
We're doing good, and might as well start off the newscast with that evil guy named Dorian who may sucker punch you
Oh, that
without you
prick.
knowing.
That guy's an asshole.
He is, and he's a Cat 5 asshole as he slammed into the Bahamas today.
That's a major asshole. Did you see the fucking storm surge down there?
20 feet above normal from
Dude,
what I'm
that is my biggest fear. I remember when Irma came, I piled up all my historical shit, all my firearms, and all my like coolers and shit in this studio room, in case we because they were talking about flooding. My parents actually stayed at my house because they were in a level 1 because they're like 2 feet above sea level. And we do the computers for the fire department out on the island. And when we heard they were moving their equipment over to the baseball field because they were concerned with flooding, yeah, Dad actually came here. He brought his dog, brought his wife, and I literally piled up all my historical shit and survival shit in case we had to. I had my tent in here, and in case we had to get on the roof, I was prepared for us to have to camp out on the roof.
Well, looking at this at 20 feet above normal, that would pretty much drown the state of Florida, right?
Yeah, we'd be fucked completely. If you can't swim, or if you didn't get on your roof, or if you weren't prepared, like if you're ever, for whatever God known reason, someone suggests you get in the attic, you damn well better have a cordless fucking saw to cut through your roof, or you're just basically putting yourself in a coffin. Don't ever get in your attic unless you have a plan to cut a hole in your roof to get out, because if a storm surge gets that high, man, you're just gonna fucking drown in there. And that's
Honey,
the
we could have
scariest
built
part.
that hatch before the next hurricane.
I know my house will survive a lot of wind. 200 mile an hour, I don't know, but the idea of storm surge does scare the shit out of me. And luckily, I'm out Northwest Cape. I do have canals, but I'm not near the river, and so it would take. I would have time to make that transition because the flooding would come around me first, and so unless obviously it was fucking some insane movie style where it just comes in 2 seconds, because obviously storm surge, it comes in quick, but it's not going to come in like, especially where I'm at, it's not going to travel this distant in that great of a time. I would have time to get on the roof, but that is my biggest concern when it comes to hurricane is fucking storm surge. It scares the shit out of me.
That water can move a lot faster than people expect.
Yeah, but like I said, I'm out in the fucking middle of nowhere. I mean, I'm far away from the river. And so obviously those areas would flood first and you would see it coming. So it's not like I would just wake up in the middle of the night and have my shit up to my elbows. I would have time to get on the roof, but that does scare the hell out of me.
Well, I can see why Dave may have been nervous because more than 600 flights have been canceled.
Yeah.
These are 600 U.S. flights that have been canceled for Monday as the nation prepares for Hurricane Dorian. Nearly half of those flights concern routes either arriving to or departing from Florida airports. These cancellations have also impacted North Carolina, Georgia, Maryland, and other states. So there was actually 336 flights alone that were canceled today.
That sucks.
And South Kakalaki governor, yes, I did say Kakalaki, has ordered thousands of people to evacuate. So South Carolina Governor Henry McMaster on Sunday ordered a mandatory evacuation across the state, impacting an estimated 830,000 people. So this evacuation will begin on noon Monday and include 7 counties. That'll be Beaufort, Berkeley, Charleston, Colton, Dorchester, Horry, and Jasper counties.
Cindy Carter via Facebook Live was talking about how her house flooded in Irma. And that's the thing. One of my reenactor buddies, his house flooded. And obviously he didn't have to spend time on the roof, but we're talking 4 or 5 feet. That's in his house. All of his reenacting gear, mildew. All of his
Yeah.
shit got fucked up. And
Yeah.
here's the worst part: he was a renter.
Without renter's insurance,
The insurance covered the house,
not the shit inside, huh?
but he was stuck like a slut with nobody to fuck. He was just done. All his stuff was gone.
Oh
And I'm
man.
assuming Cindy probably lives up in like San Carlos or one of those areas that flooded real bad. I remember during Irma, I was still working at the radio station, right? And we were providing a service. We were getting a lot of information out there because cable's out. A lot of people didn't have, cell phone signals, and people relied. We actually, after the storm, we would have these young cats come in who said they never really listened to radio before, and then during a storm, when they didn't have access to their Pandora and their Spotify, they actually tuned in the radio, and they were surprised we were there. But it was crazy because it's a 33-mile trip from my house to the station down 41, and I can't remember why. I had to go there early one morning one time. I don't know what, I can't remember why, but I just remember driving in the dark. And you could see it was like as you're driving through 41, you could see where the damage was. It was dark, and then you drive through a neighborhood that had power, so there was a little bit of light. You would see, and you could actually see the trees knocked down. And I would see between San Carlos and North Fort Myers how it was affected. And as those 16 days went on, you would see things change. Oh, now there's lights. They got their lights back here. That thing finally got cleaned up. And it was like a timeline almost of I could see who got the most damage and how bad they were screwed. And it was crazy just watching every day things coming back to life. This gas station's open now and all that. It was crazy, man. And a lot of people got flooded out during Irma. Irma was horrible.
Yeah, sitting here watching, and we were worrying about what was going on there. So even from a distance, when you got family in that kind of situation, that anxiety level runs pretty high.
And here's a hint for you firearm owners. When there is an issue of state of emergency or especially mandatory evacuations, it is and it does become illegal to open carry. Because they know that, now obviously they don't want you riding down the street with a fucking rifle slung over your shoulder. It's more of a convenience thing so that if your neighbor sees you carrying a fucking stack of rifles out to your car because you're evacuating and they see your firearms out in the open because you don't have cases for all of them, but they don't want you leaving abandoned firearms in houses, so they would rather you take them with you where the hell you're going. And so they kind of lighten up on the law a little bit so that if someone does see your firearm out in open, you're not going to get arrested for brandishing a firearm.
Oh my God, he's got a gun.
That is my biggest fear, man. Hey, if you're watching this podcast or you're listening to this podcast and you are new, and primarily a female, if you're a female, I really want to talk to you on the show, but I'll take a male too. If you just recently got your concealed carry permit and you just recently experienced your first time carrying a firearm out in public, please send me an email at info@d-410.com. I want to get you on the show because I experienced a few things when I first did it, and you feel naughty. You feel like you're doing something that you've been trained against your whole life. And I don't want to get into it now because I'd really like to get into it with someone who just recently got their concealed carry permit and carried a firearm in public for the first time. I want to get your experience, your feelings on that whole procedure, and I find it quite interesting when it happens. To me now, it's a daily thing. I actually had somebody ask me if you carry all the time? I said, all the fucking time. When Stan and I went to Key West for the day, that was the first time in a long time that I was actually walking in the street without a firearm, and you do feel a little vulnerable.
How is it there? I know in Nevada you can actually have a firearm in a bar. They just lowered the legal drinking limit for carrying a firearm to .08 from .10, which I'm good with. I'm actually very, very good with that. But how is it there?
Florida is a little more conservative, and I don't mind it. You cannot, I repeat, cannot carry in an establishment that primary source of income is the serving of alcohol, or you cannot be around the distribution point of said alcohol. And here's what I mean. Clearly, you can't go to the bar. That's out. If you're going to your local neighborhood or favorite restaurant to get some takeout, and you go inside, most people sit at the bar and drink a beer while they're waiting for their food. Not only can you not drink that beer, but you cannot sit at the bar. You have to go sit down in the lobby or in the booth away from the area that the alcohol is being served. You cannot be around alcohol when you are carrying your firearm in public. You cannot carry in a festival style event. And sadly, I'm afraid that one day some shit's going to pop off, kind of like that happened out there in Vegas. Clearly in Vegas, when you got a fucking sniper sniping you from the 20th floor of a building, ain't shit all you can do. But hypothetically, if that fucking coward was down on the ground, someone with a concealed carry could have maybe minimized the impact of how many guys that fucking douchebag shot. But in the state of Florida, if something were to pop off like at a 4th of July festival or, as you said, the Cape Coral Burlow Festival, people are like, well, where's the concealed carry people? What? We can't carry. We got to follow the law. And so it becomes a soft target. And so they do have quite a few laws. And one of the scariest things is if someone can describe your firearm to a police officer and the police officer is not in the mood or you're being a dick during the investigation, they can legally arrest you for brandishing a firearm in public. Meaning if you get a Publix and you have your gun underneath your shirt and you bend down to get that case of Coke and your shirt pulls up and someone can see that you got a 1911 in your waist, or they can describe it to the cop. If the cop's in a bad mood or you're being a dick to them, they can't arrest you. That shit has to stay covered up.
And that's what's interesting, because brandishing out here means you have it out of a holster. That's brandishing.
Cindy, send me an email, not to interrupt. Cindy said she's had hers for a little while. Send me an email at info@t-410.com. I want to set up, maybe we can do a phone interview with you next week, because I want to get your opinions on your first time carrying in public, because you do feel... one of the things I noticed, your situational awareness goes to the roof.
Yes,
not because you're worried about someone sniping you or whatever. When you get out of your car, most of us have our firearms stashed somewhere. So now you got to put it back on your persons. But you got to do that without people seeing you. And because you're so nervous, like the first time someone smoked weed and they think everybody's staring at them, because you're out in public when you have a firearm, and that's a big no-no, you're concerned. Everybody's looking at me, man. Everybody's looking at me. But no one's looking at you. Everybody's fucking looking at their phones. They're doing their thing. And so you kind of got to situate yourself somewhere in your car so you can place your firearm underneath your clothing without being seen in public. And the first time you do that, you think everybody's staring at you. And it's so crazy. But I don't want to get too much away. I want to talk to somebody. I want to see what their feeling is. Now, I know you have your permit and you open carry in public, and you will contribute to that conversation as well. But I always find it's very interesting, the feeling you get when you carry them.
Yeah, and I actually don't open carry anymore. But I was wondering, if Don ever comes out here and his firearm permit your CCW is good here too.
Yeah, they just that's one of the laws that Trump passed is what's the word for that? Oh, anyhow, basically, much like a driver's license, every state that issues
reciprocal.
Every state because the way it is right now, because my aunts have one. Yes, I said aunts. They're married. I love them. They've been together. I'm progressive. My aunts were driving to my other aunt's home state of where the fuck is that? Maryland. Yes, I have a T-shirt from when I built ambulances. I actually built the ambulances for her town, Anne Arundel. She was going up to Anne Arundel, but when they were traveling up there and they got to certain states up in the Northeast, they would actually have to pull over, unload their firearms, stash them in the trunk, and separate them from the ammo, and go through the whole state policy because of those laws. But now they're trying to make those more easier so that you don't have to deal with that.
All right, I wanted to shift gears. So we're going to get a little whiplash from going from Southwest Florida to California.
Okay.
California is now going to build the largest wildlife crossing in the world.
Sweet. I'm down for that.
I am too.
Is that like one of those overpasses over the interstate that's like all nature trail and shit?
Exactly. So there are some areas in California and LA where it'll be one mountain lion lives in a park.
Uh-huh.
But it's feeling a little randy, right? It needs to expand its population. So in order to get to another area to meet another mountain lion, it has to cross two freeways. And if anybody has been in LA traffic, you can only imagine the nightmare that poor creature has.
Mm-hmm.
On top of the nightmare of you sitting in your car. So there is going to be a span along US 101 that'll only have only the second animal overpass in the state, where tunnels are typically more common. So there's two ways. They can do an overpass or they can tunnel under. Official says this will be the first of the kind.
Get off the lawn. Sorry.
This will be the first of its kind near a major metropolitan area, and the largest in the world, stretching 200 feet and will be above 10 lanes of busy highway and a feeder road just 35 miles northwest of downtown LA.
Yeah,
This
they need it. The
need
crazy part is they go through all this trouble, but then we hear these stories about the runners who get tackled by mountain lions and have to fight for their fucking lives up in the hills and the parks.
So here's my thoughts. They get this nice big green stretch over the freeways. How long will it take before the homeless take it over?
Fucking the next before it's done. Not only will the homeless, but the taggers will be out there. As the mason guy is putting up a new slab of concrete, there'll be somebody there tagging at the same time.
So basically, this $87 million bridge, which is in its final phase of design phase, will be squatted out in no time.
And not to mention the fact that they, much like Cape Coral and Fort Myers, they spend a ton of money on sprinkler systems for the medians. Not mediums, people. They're called medians. To keep the trees and the grass growing, and the ship fails. So they're going to build this huge animal crosswalk, which, by the way, I'm all for. Let's get the animals the other side. But how much money are they going to have to spend on fertilizer, running city water to fuck? I mean, because let's be honest, it's on a concrete slab, so it's going to heat up from the bottom, and basically you're going to have a hard time. Your vegetation is basically going to fry. It's basically you're putting vegetation on a concrete skillet out in the desert.
And yes, LA is part of the Mojave Desert.
And so you're going to have to water the shit out of it. Homeless people are going to be squatting on it. And you're basically just building a bunk bed for bums.
Bums and rats. That's
you're gonna have like the highfalutin homeless people on the top, and then you're gonna have like the crackheads and your everyday vagabonds living underneath it because it is an overpass. So it's gonna be a bunk bed for bums.
Yeah, so this thing's going to be completed in 2023. So I say before the end of the year 2023, it's going to be a major story with all of the homeless. And then one more final
before
story.
Or after they get their high speed train done, because they've been working on that for fucking years too.
Well, I tell you what, the high speed train that's going to run from Vegas to basically Victorville.
Where the fuck is Victorville?
Victorville is the last town on the way out. So when you're going to Vegas from LA and you come up that long grade, that takes a right, Victorville's at the top there. And one of the problems is they would have to get rid of so much property to get it all the way down into LA. Homes and everything else. What has happened is this train has been on again and off again for decades. Well, one Sir Richard Branson has decided he's going to build the train.
A Virgin Record, Richard Branson?
You
Virgin
got
Airlines,
it. So,
the guy with the cool hair?
Yeah, he built one or is building one in Florida, and now he's going to build this one. So it'll be one of the largest privately funded high-speed trains. And people's like, well, why would you go to Victorville? Well, my thoughts is, and because we travel the opposite direction, is if anybody has ever seen the backup on the 15 from Vegas to Victorville, those will be the people that take it. They won't want to deal with it. They can get to their car and then take off from there where the traffic's a little bit better.
This episode of the Waterman and D-Train Show, a.k.a. What's in Your Head, is brought to you by our friends at Computers. Computers has been providing service to Southwest Florida since 2004. And one of the things we specialize, which happened tonight before we went live on the air, I said, hey, man, let me go get my laptop. I'll hook it up to the TV. I can put your pictures up there. And I spilt my daughter's Tropical from Punch all over it. And so now at Computers, I've taken the battery out of this thing. I'm blowing Tropical Punch out of the vents. But we do laptop repair, and I may have to fucking fix this one because this is actually the laptop that we produce all our videos on for the Digital 410 YouTube channel. And I do have two big projects on here. I'm actually putting together painstakingly multi-camera shoot for my trip to the National Museum of the Pacific Wars on this laptop. And I'm afraid to turn it on because it does have fluids leaking out of the bottom. But I did pull the battery out. Hopefully it's safe. If not, I'll have to pull the hard drive out and get all my data and then fix it. But Computers can do all that stuff for you too. They can expand your wireless footprint, install all of your new gadgets such as your Nest, your Google Home, all that fun stuff. Give them a call at 239-283-1120. And if you have internet that works, they can help you no matter where you are. You can be in Istanbul, not Constantinople. That's right, it's Istanbul, not Constantinople. Why did Constantinople get the works? Nobody's business but the Turks. Give them a call, 239-283-1120. They can help you out. They can log in your computer, and they will hook you up. And then they will hook us up And while we're doing the plugs, don't forget to go to d-410.com. Click on the Amazon link. Put that on your toolbar, your homepage, wherever you want to put it. And when you're buying a new sex toy for your wife, or you're getting crazy, go to Amazon.com. Click on a link through the d-410.com. It won't cost you an extra. But they will send us some change, and once that change gets up to around $100 or so, they will send it. And let me tell you, people, we are not there. There's money in there, but I can't get it. So please go to Amazon.com, click on the link, and help support the show that way. And like I said, it will not cost you an extra, but they will send some our way. And while you're there, also go to Sleeves.com if you're trying to work out. Your kids are working out, playing football, what have you. You're out running. You got the old lady out running. Go to Sleeves.com, get yourself a headband. I guarantee you they work. Why? Because I ran an amount of miles today, which you are going to look to and do the comment on YouTube and Facebook, and whoever gets the correct amount of miles that I ran today will send you a sticker or two and maybe some other cool shit. But anytime I run, anytime the family runs, we all have our sleeve headbands on, and they do, in fact, keep the crap out of your eyes. When I'm at mile 9 and I'm dying in the humidity, and no, ladies and gentlemen, that's not how many miles I ran tonight. I see what you're trying to do. I pour water on my head, and the sleeve actually keeps it out of my eyes. It actually kind of collects it and sends it down my back and then right into my ass crack, which is always fun. But anyhow, go to sleeves.com, use the promo code D41040, no hyphen, D41040 at checkout. That'll save you 40% on all of your shopping cart, and then they will also send us and that is everything. That is all of the plugs. Gordon, are you done with your news?
Real quick, Storm Area 51. Speaking of storms, there is one event going on that they're expecting 20,000 people. It's called Base Camp Operations. The other event, one of the other two events, at least at this point, has been denied its permit for Peace Stock 51. And looks like people are going to come. I still think it's going to be 20 assholes out there, though. That's about it.
And that is Gordon tuning in live from Las Vegas, Nevada, from the official WD410 news desk, sponsored by Sleeves.com. Use that promo code D41040. Thank you very much, Gordon. We are gone long. I have been rambling about nothing for a long time. We got people on YouTube and on Facebook sticking around for that. Thank you guys so much for your continued support of the podcast and the YouTube channels. I have got something so fucking cool coming. I'm waiting to come the mail. We actually are going to have a sponsored, per se, they're not sending me money, but they are sending me a product, an official, the half-ass review on Digital 410 YouTube channel is about to crank it up a notch. We're getting serious. We're trying to put some value into production, and we actually have a sponsored bit coming up, which if it works out well, I'm sure we can use it as examples of what we're able to do, and then I can get some more products sent out, and we can get some quality content on YouTube, and I'm hoping maybe if I pull this off right, maybe they'll let me do a giveaway, but that's not anything we talk about right now. Anyhow, life is short, life is hard, and for those of you trying to change, trying to do something like maybe running, it's all mental. It's all in your head. It sucks. No matter what you're doing, if you're doing one of those things that sucks, you know it sucks. Everybody knows it sucks. Just do it. It's in your head. Find a safe spot. Find something to think about, and just go out and do it. Do something that forces you to get out of your comfort zone, forces you to try something new, expand your horizons, if you will. Because life is short, life is hard, and do what you got to do to achieve your goals, because one day you may wake up dead. Gordon?
I can be reached at Twitter.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I can be reached on Twitter at Abernathy Gordon. I can also be reached on Instagram at Aegis1974. Everybody have a great, safe Labor Day.
And you have a Facebook page, do you not?
I do have a Facebook page.
Let's get Gordon some followers. He's new to this. He needs some followers. So check out his Instagram and his Facebook page. And, yeah, help him out. Get some followers going his way. And spread the word. You know, I was thinking about this today, and I know we've been dragging on forever, and I'm tired, and I've been rambling on, and I'm sorry I've been wasting your time, but this shit ain't easy. Yes, putting a podcast together is easy. Just get a microphone, computer, and talk. But I actually know, I think I counted 5 people. I know 5 people who've launched podcasts, and they get to episode 3, and they're done. Because they realize the hardest part about doing podcasts is creating original content on a consistent basis. And I know we here at the Waterman and D-Train Show are consistently inconsistent. But over at the What's the Scuttlebutt podcast and the Fail to Fail podcast, we got our shit together, and we were having a good time. And so you guys are tuning in. You're downloading this stuff. You're sharing it with your friends, and it means the world to me. And only place we can go from here is bigger numbers. Obviously, not every show is a fucking gold mine. Some of them are a disaster like this one. But you stuck around, and we stuck around. I've committed to you. I've provided you some content. Hopefully, you can find some humor in it, and hopefully, it doesn't completely bore you to hell. And thanks so much for you guys' continued support. Because once again, like I said, there are a shit ton of podcasts out there. I think there's over 600,000. And the fact that you're spending your time listening to my nonsense means the world to me. And whenever I see you guys out in public and you give me a hey, nice see what's up. Yes, it's an old ICP reference. It's a hey, nice to see you, what's up. That's kind of when you do one of these head nods and hey, nice to see you, what's up, and then you move on. I love that shit. Don't be afraid to come out and give me a nice to see you, what's up, because we do the shit for you, and thank you guys so much. Gordon, I will talk to you next week, providing that the hurricane does in fact go north and doesn't continue to travel west and land on top of me because I have gotten no safety precautions put in place.
All right.
Later. Thank you guys.